Welcome back to the Connect Network TV. We have an incredible executive director joining us today, Cy Herrera from Ashwell. We're excited to dive into some important topics regarding health and wellness. Cy, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here with y'all.
Well, I am so excited to dive in and talk about some history and some great information. But before we do, I just wanted to get some feedback from you on all this Diddy talk. What are your thoughts there?
Great. Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, I think that when I hear the news coming through, we've heard it many times in many different situations as y'all were talking about. First, knowing that, of course, where our hearts go out to anyone that was victimized in any of this. And also just, the first thing that I think of when I think about all of this is about consent, and just making sure that everybody understands what consent is, what it looks like, what it should feel like, right? And so everyone involved in this controversy, my heart goes out to anybody that was victimized, and that is a survivor of this. And I just want to say a consent is always an enthusiastic yes, right? It's always when everybody involved is wanting to be involved and with an enthusiasm for every part of any act, and that they feel able and comfortable to stop it at any time. So when we think about the news coming down and, what really happened and what does it all mean, I think we should always be thinking first, was there consent to any of these parties, and who is being most impacted? And I'm proud to say that we do a lot of work that can help folks who have been in those situations.
Yeah, that's really, really important to touch on. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you also mentioned a little bit about anti-stigma work. And, I often say that Ashwell is an organization against stigma. It's so important because if we don't break down the stigmas that are related to sexuality, to HIV, really to so many of the parts of who we are, really people cannot act in a liberated way. They cannot be who they are. They cannot be free and open, and experience life in the way that they deserve. So we have a really vibrant community, an LGBTQ plus community here in Austin, Texas. And I really just agree that community is absolutely key. And we're proud to help build on that community here at Ashwell.
Well, speaking of that, I would love to talk about a little bit of the history of the organization. So
Yeah.
in 1983, the first case of HIV was diagnosed in Austin, Texas, 2 years after the first case in the US. In
Mhm.
1988, the Austin Immune Health Clinic was established by a group of individuals living with AIDS. In 1991, the Austin Immune Health Clinic changes its name to HIV Wellness Center. And then we have in 2018, the Right House becomes Ashwell, what you are today, standing for Austin Sexual Health and Wellness. The Ashwell Red River Saint Clinic opens to the public. And by 2019, Ashwell started offering 100% premium assistance to their patients. So incredible. So the way you are serving others, how did you get involved?
I got involved because I was working for another local nonprofit, HIV serving nonprofit called Project Transitions. I led a $3.5 million campaign to build housing for people living with HIV right here in Central Texas. And we built 101 units with that organization. And because we all work so closely together, it's really a tight knit kind of little community and family. I knew all about Ashwell. We worked together and it was exciting to see what they were doing. And I was invited to come on board and I was enthusiastic to join.
That's so wonderful, Cy. Thank you. Thank you very much. And what are some of the most effective strategies you've seen in promoting HIV prevention in the community?
Well, if y'all don't know, Asheville is your local homegrown, holistic, kink friendly, pleasure positive sexual health and wellness center. And I say all of that because I want folks to know that we center queer and transgender people of color first. And we're working to end the HIV and Hep C epidemics here in Central Texas. And so when we talk about prevention, it really is related to the conversation y'all were having around anti stigmatization, right? Because if you can't talk about it, how are we going to help, right? So it's exciting to be part of a nonprofit who really pushes the envelope, right? So we're not your local, like health department or other folks who have lots of regulations. It's exciting to be part of a nonprofit where we can represent queer folks, trans folks. We can represent people of color, loving other people of the same gender, of all the genders. And you can see that all through our, promotional work. We think art is really important and speaks to people directly and lets them know that this is where you belong and here are your people, and come be with us, right? So for me, prevention is all about something you talked about a little bit, building community and helping people understand that this is where they belong, creating that sense of belonging. And the only way that I have seen that that works is when you not only, tolerate or welcome all people, but rather you celebrate them. You celebrate their sexuality. You celebrate them for their kink. You celebrate them for all that they are and all that they do. And when people see themselves, it changes something, right? It changes a little something in their head, says, oh, I don't have to be afraid to be here. So many of the folks that we serve, unfortunately, have been traumatized in the healthcare setting that we have, here in Austin, here in the United States. Unfortunately, there's lots of stigma around HIV, around Hep C, around sexuality, around drug use, around all of the things that really keep people from accessing the care that they deserve. So in Ashwell, we really try to think of creative ways. I love that I'm surrounded by creatives because it's really folks who are thinking, what else can we do? What else have people not done? What can we do to really push the envelope and let people know that they belong here, they won't be judged, and that they'll get the care that they deserve?
Well, it really sounds like such a comprehensive approach. And speaking of holistic care, can you explain how Ashwell integrates holistic practices into its services?
Yes, excited to. So when we were founded way back in 1988, we were founded both by people living with HIV/AIDS as well as people who were holistic healers. So this is something that has been in our DNA from the very beginning. The reason it was so important then is because there were no medical interventions back then. Getting an AIDS diagnosis was like getting a death sentence, and it was a very scary time where people were passing left and right. And the folks who founded this organization decided that they were just going to show up and do whatever they could do to comfort people and bring them some sense of just community, and bring them a little bit of sense of just relief. And so holistic services that we still offer today, like acupuncture here in our clinic once a week for free to our patient members, is something that is special because it really addresses those other things that are outside of the medical care, right? So you might get a prescription now for HIV, and you can regulate that, and you can live a long, healthy, happy life, right? But you might also experience inflammation or stress and anxiety or a lot of other things that really keep you from staying in care and taking that daily pill. And so our holistic care is really important because it makes people feel like, first of all, they're worthy of something like that. In a lot of places, that's not something that's offered, but it also makes people feel that they have some other forms of healing, which is really important, so that people can both enter into the care because of stuff like that, because of services and offerings like that, but also they stay in care because they feel like they have what they need in order to continue on.
So that's so wonderful. And I also know that you have an exciting annual fundraiser called the Hoedown. So,
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about this event and how it supports Ashwell's mission.
Well, I always say it, we're the funnest nonprofit in town. If y'all don't know, you got to know. And so the Hoedown is Asheville's annual country queer, gender bending backyard barbecue extravaganza. 100% of the proceeds are going to fund our life-saving care for Central Texans here in Austin, all the way down through San Antonio, who are living with HIV, who are impacted by HIV and hepatitis C. We actually take the money that we raise. Our goal is $80,000 this year, and we put it directly in a fund that we call the Care for All Fund. I noticed when I came on as executive director that there would be just these little costs, right? There would be like, oh, this person wants to come, but they just can't afford to get here. Or, this person just needs a little help with their phone bill. Like, we can't communicate with them. And I thought, you know what? This community is so generous. And I bet you there are people out there who would give to a fund and help us just kind of cover the gap right? Just to mind that gap and help people just, make their co-pays or do whatever they need to do to stay in care. So the hoedown is going to be super fun. We're going to have drag performances. We're going to have a mechanical bull. We're going to have games. It's just going to be so much fun. And on top of that, you'll know that every dollar that you donate, even with your tickets, is going directly to folks for emergency financial assistance right here in Central Texas.
Well, Cy, that sounds like such a great event. Thank you so much for sharing all this valuable information with us today. We appreciate the work Ashwell's doing to enhance community health and wellness. How can people find you and keep up with you and Ashwell?
Great question. Yes. So the event is going to be November 1st at Distribution Hall. And if you want your tickets or if you want to just follow along in our really fun Instagram posts, you can find us on all the socials at Ashwell ATX. That's ASHWELLATX. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn. So you can always find us, and our Instagram page is just fun. So I would suggest everyone go ahead and follow us.
Cy, thanks one more time for all the incredible work that you are doing for our community. And to our Connect family, don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this commercial break.
You're watching the Connect Network TV on the CW.